Hi, welcome to Crazy Therapeutic Asians, where we talk about mental health in the Asian American community. This is part 2 of a 2-part episode on assimilation, acculturation, and amalgamation. Last week we covered the definitions of those terms and how they affected our lives. In this week's episode, we'll be continuing our conversation with Sam the therapist and get into what code switching is and how oftentimes minorities have to engage in using that skill to survive at large or in their workplace. Hope you enjoy. Coming to America, holding on to our own culture while, trying to get used to it. When it comes to acculturation, too, there's that assumption that acculturating to America is acculturating to white culture.
Right. I remember when I got to middle school, my mom asked me, do you want to go to neighborhood school now, or she gave me a choice, or do you want to continue to go to school out there? And the thing is that the majority of my friends were the kids that you go to school with, right? The neighborhood kids, we played on the block, but I didn't know anything beyond the block.
Right.
Because my parents were very protective too. The people that were around me were closer to me, my buddies. So I talked to them and they said, you are better to stay out there. And mainly was because they felt that they would be helping me. They would have to fight my battles because people would pick on me because I spoke proper. Because I wasn't, I guess you say, urban enough. I don't like to say ghetto because they weren't ghetto, but urban.
Yeah.
Right.
They, and had a little bit more street knowledge. My street crud. Was that the word?
Street cred, yeah.
Cred, yeah. Wasn't my street? Yeah. See, wouldn't have played well.
Yep.
In the neighborhood school.
Yeah.
And so I made a choice to stay going out there. But I will say, like during the summer months, I was very lonely a lot of times because I didn't get to hang out with my buddies from school. Right.
Yeah. I will say that when I was young, I was born here. And I think I was about 2 or 3, and I went back to Taiwan. And I don't know if it shows, but I'm a bit of a bruiser. So when I went to Taiwan, I went to Taiwanese preschool. Ooh. Those kids are not nice. And I'm not saying for Taiwanese that you guys are not. I mean, like you see somebody walk in. I look like everybody else, but my behavior was very much Americanized by that point.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Sure, yes.
And they would make fun of my Chinese, and they would kind of push me a little here. And so I became the little bruiser. But then also that kind of cultivated like the idea of like, don't do that. You're showing even more that you're different from all the other kids, right? You don't get you feel not accepted here. In America at times because of visual, right? People make assumptions.
Right.
Then when you go back, you're not kind of there either because you're a little too American.
Yes.
You're like kind of sold out in the weird
right. Sold out.
Yeah. Sold out.
Yeah, like sold out. Yeah. Right? And what does that really mean?
Right. What does that mean?
Because if you talk to every one of them, right? If I go home and talk to my family, it's we want you to do well. We want you to do better. We want you to be the success, right? Well, that's what I'm doing. Why am I considered a sellout? I still mess with my culture.
Perfect balance.
Right.
Perfect.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
And to each person, it's like different from that.
Side note, like your thing about the back to Taiwan, I remember like something my mom would always do if we visited Taiwan. She'd be like, don't speak when we get in the taxi.
Oh gosh! Oh,
they're gonna know
me memories.
You're from America,
and they're gonna screw you over.
Yeah, exactly. Drive you
over.
long routes and charge you a lot of money. So don't speak.
Oh my gosh! I used to when I get in the Chinese taxi cab, I would tell them directly what streets to go and where to make a left and right because I'm like, I know you know. So I'm like, I am not gonna be fooled. There's one Japanese kid, and I'm not even joking. I know his name to this day in my head because they always said, "Are you brother sister or are you boyfriend girl?" Like
you couldn't
microaggressions everywhere.
Yeah. Just because you're the same ethnicity or even in the same spectrum, right?
Right.
Oh, well, you must know each other.
Oh yeah,
no,
of course.
Just because we look alike on the surface, in a sense, doesn't mean that we're the same underneath.
You must be smart because you're Asian.
Oh, okay. I'll take that.
Right.
Or are you a good dancer? Yes, I am a good dancer, but that's beside
I'm a good dancer too.
I suck. I can't.
Well, I'll tell you this. I see the big difference right now is in my daughter's school, it's super diverse. Like, it wasn't diverse when when I was going to school, but her school, super diverse. And in the same sense, you know, when I talk to her about racism, when I talk to her about these issues, she understands it to a point, but it's still vague.
Right. I get that. Because in talking with some of my clients who are a part of the global majority, and I ask, and they're younger, when it comes to race and stuff, there is an understanding, but still kind of a disconnect. Right. Like, yeah, but, you know.
We're all human race.
Yeah,
and you're like, yes, but do you feel it?
You're right. Yeah.
Like, I didn't experience it very heavily, but it was enough that I was aware. But a lot of people now will go out and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened to me. Like, when they get a bit older or they're in college, and I'm like, yeah, we still have issues.
And I will say, I had more discrimination when I did get in the workplace than even when I was growing up in school, too. Even in my predominantly white school.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And then that also brings me to the question. There's certain Asians that you can pass. Like, you know, the majority at the workplace, they can pass. And they're like, oh, you know, they're one of us.
Right, right.
And then there's full-on eyes are super slanted, very traditional. Born, raised here, maybe, you know, in the community, but very different. And they were looked down upon.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. Where did it become where that was the starting point?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's breeding in all of us, but that's the starting point. I'm going to take some of my Latino friends who have been here for, say, several generations, who can't speak Spanish very well, or not know it at all.
Right.
Because it was the only way you're going to make it is you have to speak English and you have to speak it properly, and then that becomes the assimilating into whiteness, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Where then you have friends who can speak it and hold on to it, but also what we call code switching, the alternating or mixed use of two or more languages, especially within the same discourse, as well as the modifying of one's behavior, appearance, etc. to adapt to different social cultural norms and know how to still walk in different spaces, right? Yeah. Walk in spaces with their family and then walk in spaces in, we'll say, corporate America. Or
so there was a movie you were talking about earlier on that gave a really good example of code switching.
Sorry to bother you.
Sorry to bother you.
Yes. I have not seen that yet, but just from the clips, I'm like, that's hits it on the nail.
Switching.
Right. And it's interesting because I know the little bit of it was in order for them to sell more, they had to sound not just white, but really white in order for their numbers to kind of to go up and for the people over the phone to accept what they were offering as something that they thought would be worthy.
Can we do a telemarketing call right now, one without code switching and one with?
Oh my God.
We can offend so many people all at once. Okay. Oh God, I'm gonna have to do Chinese.
Bring. Hello?
Hi. May I speak to John, please?
This is John.
Hi, John. I see that your Volkswagen. Start all over, please. I'm not going to say Volkswagen. I'm going to say Toyota. Okay.
Jeez.
Right, I should have just gone easy. Your Kia? Okay. Okay.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Okay.
That's them. They can do it. I can't.
You got to wait your turn.
Yeah.
Your turn. Okay. Ring.
Hello?
Hi, may I speak to John, please?
This is John.
Hello, John. I see on the computer your warranty for your Toyota is expiring soon.
Yeah. What's this about?
So I am calling because I'm here to offer you a extension of your.
I don't actually need that right now. I think I'm okay.
Oh, sir, it's very important.
I mean, come on. I can barely understand you right now. Like, I don't need to extend that. All right. Bye.
That was so rude.
That was rude.
Why? You can't understand me. I
thought this was a safe space.
I don't feel safe. Okay.
So what's the code switch version of that?
I'm ready. Ring.
Hello?
Hi, may I speak to John, please?
This is John.
Hi, John. This is Mary. I'm calling you because I'm here to notify you that your Toyota warranty is expiring.
Oh.
And I just want to make sure that you know that so that if any accident happens at this point, you'll be paying more. So I'm here just to call you and let you know that I'm here to renew your warranty.
Okay.
Okay, John?
Okay.
So I have your approval.
Sure.
And no lack in time. You can start driving your car today. Do not worry. It will renew automatically.
Okay.
And I'll give you a courtesy call in about a year.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
real
I think that was perfect.
Was it
I don't think either one of us need to do another. That was
I
good.
should go sell car warranties then.
That was really good. No, you hit it right on the nail. The different tonality,
I mean, a lot of it is like...
I was like, who are you?
That was aggressive as hell.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like what I remember from telemarketing, it's like when I hear from people and they don't think they're being offensive, but I do hear from people like, oh, I hear they're calling from India, and I hang up, right? Because they know. Right?
Yeah.
But when they hear, and I want somebody who speaks American, not English, but I want to see somebody who speaks American,
American.
American, and I want to talk to somebody there, then they feel there's a trust
Yes.
automatically built.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially at least in the Asian example, too, it's just like, oh, we're meek, we're weak, and whatnot, and it's just like the other people, if they get pissed at you, it's like easy to feel like they can walk over you, but if you adopt this more, like, assertive, independent person, then it's like, oh shit, like, okay.
Because it was very direct. There was no ethnic tonality with it, as we would say, right?
Right, absolutely.
No, you hit it on the nail. What does that say? That
One is worse than the other. You have to change the way you are to work. A lot of the times I feel that way in therapy. There's almost this code switching what a therapist is supposed to sound like, right? Like, we're supposed to be calm, kind, talking this way. And like, I think a lot of beginning therapists adopt that persona, and like when they walk in the room, they switch. You're doing therapy mode right now. As I've gotten more experience, I've shifted. I bring more myself into session. Like, yeah, I'm like still monitoring what I say. I might not cuss or say stuff like as freely as I normally do, but I'm bringing sort of more of my personality into the room and sort of doing less of that huge switch because I want to be more authentic to people. In the cultural style of code switching, do you guys ever feel the need to like do that in your job? If I'm like meeting with a white person or whatnot, then I'm like, oh, I gotta up my, confidence and be a little more assertive or whatnot. At least, not appear to be this meek, quiet Asian guy or to be that wise Asian stereotype. When I'm working with people who just moved here from Asia or whatnot, like I adopt a much more sort of professional demeanor because I'm like, oh, they tend to want to respect authority and they like those things. And I find myself under a lot of pressure at times to feel like I need to behave a certain way with certain clients to make them feel comfortable, so to speak.
Meeting me, and you guys know me, like I'm pretty like Americanized because I was born here. So and I am proud that because I am American, I'm Chinese American, but I am American. And so when I talk to clients, I'm usually pretty much like this, right? The cursing, like you said, like if they don't curse, I'm not going to curse because that's just, I'm trying to keep that down. So, but when I meet with Asian clients, it's interesting because many times I've had the same issues. So I would talk to them, and what I try to connect them on is the transparency of like, I know where you've been. I know what you've been through. Yeah. I am probably a little louder than most. But that's where I try to connect with them more, whereas if it's another culture that I don't understand, I can't, it's just me. But when it's somebody who's of Asian descent, and even if it's somebody who's older and Asian trying to understand their kids, I'm me because they respect the whole idea. I try to bring in my culture in to kind of connect with them.
Gotcha.
Oh, the complexity.
The complexity of it all.
Oh my God. I probably will say that I am a slightly different in the beginning with my clients who are white than I am with even my clients who are Latino or gay or black. And especially with my clients who are who identify as Black, there is a little bit more familiarity.
That's right.
That we can do the nod and we know what we're talking about with the nod. Where especially with my Latino and Black, or even some of my Asians, depending on where they're at in the spectrum, we understand. Right? We understand some of the struggle. We understand
the culture struggle.
The culture struggle. And so I think that's what we connect on a lot more and a lot quicker than with some of my non-people of color clientele. Going back to code switching, I think I do present a little bit different with them than I do with my brothers and sisters of color.
There you go. That's your code switching.
Yeah, because there's pressure to make sure that they stay connected with me, but it's not the same pressure as I feel sometimes with other ethnicities.
Totally fair.
I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. Well, you made me think about being, because in how authentic am I being? I think I'm still being authentic, but I think I am monitoring myself just to make sure that. Because you're a guest in my place, right? So I want to make sure that you feel comfortable in my place, right?
That's a really good point.
But I'm still going to be confrontational. I'm still going to do the kind of the therapy that I normally do.
Right. Yeah.
But as far as certain nuances, they kind of do adjust a little bit depending on who is really sitting across from me.
Yeah.
That makes good sense. A lot of times we all have prejudices and stereotypes that we don't even know. They're unconscious, right?
Yes.
So many times I do feel like when people come in and they're not of my ethnic background, they're uncomfortable because they don't know how to communicate, right? And I'm there to make them feel as comfortable as possible. And it's like, and I think that's really important. Like, it's not like, oh, okay, we are different. There's absolute, like when people say, I don't see color.
Right. Then,
You blind?
yes.
Right.
Then just like, I just watched the movie, The Hate You Give. And she says in there, if you don't see color to her boyfriend, then you don't see me.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you not see color?
Right.
Like,
I see
see color? Yeah. Right. And so then that becomes your white privilege. Or your privilege.
Oh, that's a whole nother side.
Right, that is,
right?
yes.
Well, we gotta talk
my
about
God,
that
we
sometime.
do.
Ooh,
Yes.
So much to say.
Sam the therapist will be coming back.
Yes, he will.
So,
Anytime.
So we talked about a lot of stuff today. Acculturation, assimilation, amalgamation. There we go. There we go.
Code switching.
Code switching.
Yes.
This conversation is really one of the few times I really kind of delved down deep, right? And kind of really, we started dissecting things. So for me, it was really enlightening. The differences, like, especially with the definitions.
I like that they broke it down in that way. And it, like, at least on my end, I felt like I got a better sense of, am I trying to, force other people to acculturate to what I want them to do? Or if I'm going in and just assimilating some of the habits and stuff that people are doing versus like, oh, I'm coming to a new place, so I want to find a way to fit in while being authentic to myself.
I think for me, aside from learning the differences, then realize, oh my God, there are some differences there. It was just a great opportunity for me to gain a little more insight into what some of the Asian community might be struggling with when it comes to assimilation or amalgamation or acculturation and code switching, and really how that impacts you and how it impacted you guys when you were younger.
Gosh, our history is so different, and so we have such a different viewpoint, but then also
So much in common.
Yes, so much in common.
We have this common experience of trying to, I guess, grow into this predominantly sort of white Western style culture that we all go through.
Yeah, and we are the global majority.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the
And
biggest
so
thing.
the beauty can start from our point of view.
Hell yes.
That's
Right?
exactly right.
As we keep growing as a species, like there's more mixing going on now, There's definitely even more complexities with people who have parents with two different backgrounds, and this topic is only going to get more complex, and I think it's going to do us good to sort of stop looking at it from these such rigid perspectives.
There's only one race, right?
The human race.
Damn it, I wanted to say that.
He stole it.
He just freaking stole that from me.
All right, so thank you guys for joining us this week and, talking about culture and whatnot. And I really want to thank them for joining us.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where
Recurring.
can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Sam the Therapist. I think that's how you just say, Sam, just how it's
That's
spelled.
Sam the Therapist.
And then you can also check out my webpage. Right now, it is yourlifeempowered.net. That's yourlifeempowered.net.
Awesome.
Cool. And if you want to learn more about us, you can follow us at Crazy Therapeutic on both Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to learn more about Connie, you can go to her website, healinggenerationscounseling.com.
And if you want to go learn more about Kent, you can go to therapeutic.healingpractices.com.
All right, we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was so offensive.
That's semi-racist.
Offensive. Oh
but,
my God.
Whatever, I did it too.
Don't troll me.